So, Tom, welcome to the Crime World studio. And we're going to talk today about your half-brother, Philip Murphy. And anybody who's read The Sunday World over the last decade will know of Philip Murphy because he has been one of the more dangerous predators on the streets. And we've written about him many times over the years because of his attacks, which really, the ones that we knew about at the time, which were kind of random attacks on women that he didn't know. But last week we discovered that his sort of depraved crimes go far, far back. And you spoke in court, and he has been convicted of committing a series of crimes against you when you were a young boy. How many crimes was he convicted of? I know there was other people involved as well that we can't go into for legal reasons, but there was a number of attacks that he was convicted of.
Yeah, and in total he was convicted on 15 counts on Friday, and 6 of them relate to myself. And they're the only 6 that we could actually solidify kind of the whole thing around, so there was so many, but they were the ones that we actually could kind of get the full kind of picture around.
Yeah, because with when you bring these cases, and they're historic cases, obviously from when you were a child, the guards will focus in on ones where you can prove dates and all of that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So let's, I suppose, go back to your childhood, Tom. What's your family relationship? Philip Murphy is your older half brother. So
yeah, he's my older half brother, and then we've an older brother again, and then obviously there's Mum as well.
Yeah. So you've different fathers, basically.
Different fathers, yeah.
And your mother would have been with Philip Murphy's dad, and then that relationship broke up, and a new relationship began. And that's your connection with Philip. So what was your memories of him first as a child like?
He was always kind of controlling. He was always a kind of control freak. Always wanted you around. He always wanted to make sure that you didn't stray too far out of his watchful eyes. What I realise now as an adult, as a 37-year-old man, is that he was grooming me. So he was kind of setting me up for what he wanted.
And would he have been in your life on a regular basis? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He lived at home for pretty much for as long as I can remember, really. Up until his first big conviction. Then,
Yeah. So did you? When somebody is when you're a kid, you don't know. Love is love, if you know what I mean. Like, you don't know that these people that they might be doing damage to you. Was he somebody you looked up to? Did he prey on all of that?
Yeah, looked up to and kind of always wanted to be around, but because I didn't know any different that what he was doing was wrong.
Yeah, of
course. What I mean? It was only, as I said, in latter years that I realised something wasn't right here. Like, you know, but yeah, he was always someone you looked up to, and you kind of were around all the time, like,
Yeah, and the abuse began at what age?
6.
6 years old is when it began. And what age would he have been then?
So he's 8 years older than me, so he's 14 or so.
So at the age of 14, like, he's gone through puberty and all of that. And what happens to all kids is they like, at the age of 14, you know right from wrong, don't you?
Well, that's what I think. Yeah. You know what you're doing is wrong, and you know that there's, you know that you're hurting somebody in your mind at that age. In my opinion, you know.
And what are your first memories of the abuse? If we're okay to go into that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Pretty much kind of the way he was. It all started off kind of. Touching, kind of, so what we now call a sexual assault. Yeah. And that's the way it kind of started first. Yeah. Just kind of rubbing his hands inside your bottoms from an, and kind of sitting on the couch and stuff like that. Yeah. And then it just kind of progressed from there, really,
And at this point, are you like, you're 6 years old, so you know nothing about. I don't even know if kids now these days are given lessons about sexual abuse, but certainly back in the day,
absolutely not. Back then, it wasn't. It was you were just told to get on with it. It was just you were put out, and when it came to that kind of talk, there was none of that around. From my childhood, there was none of that around, or even in the latter years, you were always embarrassed to even want to talk about something like that. You know what I mean? So it was. was horrific, kind of, when you think about it now, what he was getting up to, and he knew what he was doing was wrong, like, you know.
Yeah, and so the grooming, like, bit of it, would he have been trying to control you at that stage and say, don't say this? Or
yeah, don't say it, or his favourite words, it's okay, you know, this is our little game, you know, that was his favourite words, you know.
Yeah.
And even kind of when you think back on it, going, you know, there was a time you're thinking back and going, Jesus, how did I not even realise what was happening? And then, as people in the Rutland Centre, for instance, told me, sure, you were a child.
Of course.
How were you meant to know what was happening was wrong?
Yeah.
You know?
And look, I know, you know, when you have kids that age, like, they don't see it. They're 6 years old. So the world in front of them is the world, and that's normal. It doesn't matter if to everybody else it looks abnormal. At that point, what you experience is normal to you, if you know what I mean. So, you know, he's living in the house, and it progresses then over time, does it? As you
it progressed to kind of from the touching, the kind of just the genital area, to where he started touching the anus, and things like that, and then he progressed to where he tried to rape me at one stage, and thankfully me dad came in into the house at that stage, and Dad, when he'd come in, he'd always let a little shout into the house, you know, because he didn't live there, so he was just coming in to see how we were, and he'd always like a shout to see where we are when we come in, so that stopped him in his tracks. But it didn't stop him for long, because that's where he was going. And then when he did rape me, he made sure that, you know, it was going to happen this time. And unfortunately, it was, again, I wasn't to know what he was doing was wrong. I do now.
Yeah.
But it was just horrific, like, because again, he used his famous words, it's okay, we're going to play a new game, and we're going to try something new here. And it was just the words that are, you know, when you have love and trust in somebody, you don't think what they're doing is going to hurt you.
No.
Or what they're doing is going to, you know, affect you. And by God, did it affect me, like, you know? Yeah,
because you presume the people around, as a kid, you presume the people around you are got your best interest at heart, do you?
Yeah, absolutely. You think they're, you know, he's your bigger brother. He's meant to look after you. He's meant to protect you. He's meant to kind of keep other people from hurting you, not be the one that's actually...
Exactly. His role in the normal world is to protect you from others.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what was he like with you, like, in between the attacks, these vicious attacks? Did he try and keep you on board? Did he, you know, look after you in other ways, or was he?
Not really. He just he'd bring you kind of out with him and stuff like that, or if he's going to the shops or things like that. Or for him, it was like it never happened. Yeah. It was one of these things where the incident happened.
Yeah.
He told you to get dressed or tidy yourself up, and then it was like just like a light switch where it was gone.
Yeah.
And it was like nothing happened. Like,
he wouldn't talk about it in between or anything like that. So what age are you when this first happens, this more serious attack? Like,
so it happened maybe between the ages of 6 and 10.
Yeah.
You know, 6 and 8, 6 and 10.
Yeah.
And it was kind of in around the you know, around the 8 when it kind of took to this stage.
Yeah.
And it's just, he just wasn't letting up. Do you know what I mean? He just, what I realise now is he was kind of feeling his own gratification through hurting me and through abusing me and raping me, and he wasn't going to, you know, that this is his way. That was his sick way of, in his eyes, playing games, like, you know. But again, he was 14, possibly up to nearly 17. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Totally.
Like, you know,
look, it's you know, a 17, 18-year-old is an adult, really. Like, you know what I mean? Did he show any remorse at any time during any of this, or seem any way conflicted about what was happening?
Back then, or
back then?
No, nothing. It was like nothing happened, and he just moved on with his life. And for me, it was only in the latter years that these things started coming up.
Yeah.
And for me, I just turned to alcohol.
Yeah.
And I was there going, no, don't want to touch that.
Well, we get into that, Tom, because that's a big bit of the story and the impact that these things have. So in the meantime, like, when he's a teenager, Philip Murphy now, very, very notorious, very, very dangerous individual.
Absolutely.
Everybody in the country knows, even before your court case, what he's all about. What was he like as a teenager? Was he showing signs of being like that antisocial personality? Was he in the rest of the world? Was he normal, or was he violent? Or
from listening to people now, listening to their opinions on him, he was more like a, nobody wanted to be around him if he ended up in the gang. Oh, sure, we'll just keep him. You know what I mean? But they'd avoid him at all costs. Like,
why? What was it about him that
there was just something? They all said that there was something strange about him from an early age. For me, he was always, from what I remember, he was always in trouble. Anyway, he was always getting some sort of, somebody was knocking on the door, giving out about him, like, you know what I mean? Right. So
for like little bits of violence and little bits of bullying.
He was always a violent person in my eyes. He was always fighting,
of course.
And he always thought he was, as we said, he was always thought he was bulletproof. And in other words, nobody had stopped him, and that's the way he was growing up, and you kind of could see that control coming in. Even down to the way his demeanour in the courts and stuff like that was just
because like that personality didn't just show with you; it showed out in the rest of the world as well. Did it in school and
stuff like that, and even looking at kind of people commenting on the story on the website and stuff, and you're kind of people that were in his class and what they used to call him and how they found him very weird and stuff, and you're kind of going, wow, this was. When you look back now, was everybody,
of course,
kind of saying that there was something wasn't right here, like
something off with him, and that would be expressed in kind of how he treated people, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he was, he would be kind of very vindictive, very kind of always in control, always. He was very aggressive. Yeah, that type, very aggressive person. From an early age, really. You know?
But of course, you're a child, so you don't think like that. You just think this is normal.
I just thought it was normal because I thought, okay, he's me bigger brother. He's meant to look after me. He's meant to be protecting me from bullies or protecting me from other people. And lo and behold, he was abusing me, and he was what led to kind of ending my life in 2017 over it. Like,
So it progresses, right? So he's obviously he's getting to be a man. An adult. Does he move out of the house then? Is that what happens, or does he stay in there?
He moved out, but not for long. He was kind of in and out, and kind of. I think he did move in with the mother of his child for a while, but then that big kind of case came up about him, and that was kind of.
Yeah, so that case happened in well, there was a first one, wasn't there, in 2001, where he attacked a taxi driver.
Oh yeah.
And then he was convicted of that in 2005. What age were you then? Like,
oh God, you'd have to do the maths there. But I remember that. That was actually that court was actually in the Bridewell courts.
Yeah,
I remember that, and I remember we went in for the sentencing part of it, and to see that man, that taxi driver. It was horrific to see that man there, and
because he basically stabbed the taxi driver, didn't he? And
left the man for dead.
Did he? Yeah,
left the man for dead, and he should have been. He should have got longer than I think he got 2 years for it. He should have got a lot longer. Like in my eyes, he got off very lucky.
Yeah,
on that one,
So at that stage, you've become you're an adult now at this stage.
Yeah, heading into that kind of territory. Yeah.
So in the meantime, what happens to people listening that and we've obviously covered a lot of stories of people who've suffered abuse as a kid, but it's when you hit the teenage years that it kind of all comes up, doesn't it? Is that what it was like for you?
For me, because of the crimes he was convicted of, I always used to have to start, if I was getting into a relationship with a girl, I was always very conflicted of whether, do I have to tell them about this, or do I just get into it and then see where it goes and then
say.
But see, I just wanted to be honest.
Yeah.
And I just put it out there. And it cost me a lot of friends, a lot of relationships, and but I still didn't want to touch on what was happening to me. So I was using other stuff, when Dad died in 2008, I used that as why I was going off the rails.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's losing me dad was a massive thing for me,
Because your parents, like, through all of this, because this is can be really normal. Like, they did not know what was going on.
Hadn't a clue. And my poor mum is absolutely heartbroken because I was only talking to her on the weekend there about it, and she said to me, I still don't understand how I missed this.
Yeah. And
as I said to her, I said, sure, it's not your fault.
No.
You weren't to blame.
No.
The only one that has the shoulder to blame here is Philip.
Yeah.
But, and my mother, she's heartbroken because she missed it.
Yeah.
But so did other people's mothers miss it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody knew this was going on because that's how he worked.
Yeah.
He had that much control over us that he would threaten us with certain things, or he'd say something that you were afraid to speak out.
Yeah.
And my mother stood by me, and the minute I told her about when we disclosed it back in 2017 to her, she stood by my side through it all.
Yeah.
Through every ounce of it, and I couldn't speak to Mum about it all.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to. So what I did was I spoke to the guards, and I spoke to my counsellor about how do I actually let Mum know here what actually happened here.
Yeah.
And it was advised to me, maybe while you're going into treatment, let her read your statements.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I left my statements out on my counter, and I said, they're there, only read them if you want. And I think Mum then had a full picture then of everything that was going on. And but my God, she's heartbroken, and she disowned him nearly 10 years ago over this, I
mean, look, it's terrible that she's left with that guilt where he displays none of that guilt.
None.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely none.
Which is,
He sat in that courtroom and thought this was in my opinion, he thought this was a joke. He thought he was going to sail off this.
Yeah.
And he thought by bringing up certain aspects and certain things about me, it was going to derail me. Well, he got a big shock. Do you know what I mean? He got a big shock.
Well, let's go back now to sort of 2009. Is it that he really, or 2008, Philip Murphy kind of becomes infamous around the country because there is an Eastern European woman at a bus stop. He sort of convinces her to get into the car after a while and basically kidnaps her and threatens her and the sexual motive is clear to the attack. He's ultimately, I think, sentenced for kidnapping. I think he gets 10 years with a couple of years suspended. Yeah. So at that point, where was your life going on at that point?
I had just came out not long after my dad had passed away, actually. And I had taken on, my dad had a car, so I took on his car because it was a better car than I had.
Yeah.
With a Fiat Punto at the time.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Fiat Puntos or anything.
No.
But I was kind of, bullied is probably the wrong word, but I was kind of pressured to give Philip the Punto, and and I do hold that a little bit of kind of regret around that. I just didn't want, if he didn't have that car, would he have been able to kind of do these things to this woman, know? And I was getting on. I was in a relationship, a long-term relationship at the time, which kind of broke down, not just because of this, but because of the surrounding things that came with it. It was everywhere. You know what I mean? He was prolific at this stage.
He was. And I mean, there was suspicions of him in connection with other
stuff that fell apart, and other things that we just couldn't. The guys just couldn't get across the line.
Yeah, so he'd been arrested and questioned, but not convicted of them. And he was in that sort of category of the most notorious and dangerous people out there. Now, your own life, at this stage, you've spoken about. Ending up in recovery ultimately. Had drink taken a hold of you at this stage?
So pretty much from, I would say, 2008 on, when Dad died, drink was my crutch, because I felt, I always felt a lot of guilt around how Dad died. I found Dad on the 21st of April 2008. I'll never forget it. It's a memory that always will stick in my mind. Getting a phone call from Peamount Hospital to say the auction company were outside the house, and they wanted, they had to ring to make sure it was okay to give me his number, and he was saying there was an alarm going off. I'm sure, knowing him, he just dropped the auction or something, So I went over, and that was it. That for me, that was the start of my world started to crumble a little bit, and I always, because I was away at a christening the weekend prior to that down that loan, and Tom being Tom had to drink. So because Tom was drinking, couldn't leave. the earliness that we meant, and I was meant to go into him on the Sunday, and I put it off and rang him and said, sure, I'll see you in the morning. And I always hold that regret that, for me, he was struggling and I wasn't there to help him. Because again, I would have known straight away, he didn't foresee me, so I would have known straight away that he was struggling or needed to get to a hospital and stuff. And I always hold that, what if I just had been there,
Yeah.
And that was it. My life just went off on a wrong road. I went into a cul-de-sac and just kind of came out the other on a different side of the road.
Because it's so it's such a consistent theme, isn't it? That people that have suffered that abuse in childhood,
absolutely,
that they're left with this kind of internal shame or guilt or whatever, and then when they discover drink in their teenage years, that it's kind of like initially it's like a bit of magic, is it? To get rid of all those feelings.
And what really hurt me in the court, and I had to bring so much strength, and I had me coin, my AA coin with me.
Yeah, and what the coins are like, they're
the medallions. So it's kind of, this one actually just has the Serenity prayer on it.
Yeah.
But I held this with me through the whole. But I had this in the court, and I had to. Yeah. It was nearly an imprint of it when he was on his video. His videos of the police interviews, and he's saying, his dad gave him drink at 13, and I just wanted to jump up off the thing and start screaming at him, because he was, bringing my dad wouldn't never get me alcohol. Now, my dad bought me, when I turned 18, he bought me a bottle of Miller in the Swallows pub. Yeah. And that was the first, when I turned 18, and he said to me, because my dad was in recovery as well, and he says, I'll never buy you another drink.
Right.
I'm only buying it because of this. Don't think you should be drinking.
Yeah.
Doesn't suit our family.
Yeah.
And he says, and that was the one and only time I've ever had a drink with him,
So, but what happens, isn't it, then? It's because you've got all, you've suffered that abuse, and it messes with people.
Absolutely.
The drink first it's like a magic, is it? And then it turns.
For me, it was kind of an escape. It was kind of, I was always alive and soul of a party. Didn't need a drink anyway, but it became something that I kind of said, this is, I like this. Let's go again. Let's see what else.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was like the not knowing.
Yeah.
It was kind of the blackouts, the whole thing, and kind of, the scary parts of it. But for me, it was, I can use this now. This is a way for me to distract and get rid of all these feelings, and masking these feelings was just, it was crazy,
And how, are you in denial about what happened to you? Or are you trying not to think about it? Or what way is it going
for me?
Your mind?
A little bit of denial. Yeah. A little bit of don't want to touch that.
Yeah.
Don't want to go there.
Yeah, yeah.
If I go there, this is going to open up a bag that I just don't want to open. And I just didn't want to touch it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I felt the more I push it down, the more I can put blocks on it and keep it down, and I don't have to touch it.
Yeah. And
then unfortunately, as it did have to come to light,
Yeah. And of course, the fact that it's within a family makes it even more pressure on it not to come out, isn't it? Because you're going to...
Yeah, and...
Even though it's not your fault, it's going to cause it.
Yeah, I knew this was going to cause not only heartache, but it was going to cause a big... how would you say? Big explosion in this in the family. And I knew people were going to be looking at me going, what, where's this coming from? Or what's going on here? Or... I was struggling with my mental health at the time, and I to be honest, I felt people were just going to say, he's just making this all up.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the whole point where I just kept going, just push that down again. Yeah. Don't need to, don't want to talk about you,
Yeah, because that's the fear, isn't it, that people talk about, that even though they know what happened, there's the denial or the shame is so strong, you have a belief that people won't believe you, or that almost that you're, it's not credible or something.
Yeah, and that's where I was kind of going, how do I even start? And I said, you know what, I'm just going to keep pushing this down. I'm going to keep drinking. I'm going to keep gambling. I'm going to, forget about all these things, And I said, hopefully I'll never have to touch on this, because to be honest, I've seen so much of it through, you're reading stuff and you're going, that didn't get the court because there wasn't this and that didn't get, and I'm going, I'd be more devastated if it didn't even get up and run after you kind of opening this bag,
Yeah, so if you opened the bag and then it went nowhere, that would be
I thought that would be,
worse than not saying it at all.
Yeah, I think so, for me anyway,
So Philip Murphy, in in the meantime, he gets out of prison. Is it 2016?
2016 or thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah, and he's out 1 month and he's arrested for 2.
He was out 24 hours.
The 24 hours.
Well, 24 hours when he attacked these women, yeah.
Right. So there's attacks on 2 separate women within 24 hours of him getting
and within minutes from each other, yeah.
Really, really serious attacks. I think he comes up with one of them. I'll say what was said in court. He comes up with, I think he has gloves on at one stage, doesn't he? These are random women on the street. He grabs one and says, "Don't scream or I'm going to kill you. I just want to fuck." And so he's committing these, out of control. Is it whatever way you want to look at it? But really, really sinister, because a lot of, obviously, sex attacks occur within people that know each other or whatever, but these sort of random attacks are quite rare. And
it's this, to be honest, they were so random.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I remember him getting arrested out of he was staying in a hotel or a hostel somewhere in town.
Yeah,
I remember getting, and I'm kind of going, this is, and part of me was going, it's just because of who he is and he's back out and that's all. It's just, oh no, it's couldn't have been him. He's not that stupid.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, he was, because, I spoke to the guards in Store Street about it, and she says it's crystal clear.
Yeah.
There's no denying this.
No denying it. Now, he's probably not stupid, but what he is totally out of control.
Out of control, yeah.
Yeah.
And from what I can see from how he spoke to our mum on the phone, to how he conducted himself in interviews, he had totally changed. He was not the Philip we knew that went into prison 10 years previous to that.
So had you had any contact with him over those years, like in between him going to prison the first time and the second time?
The second time, no. The first time we did, because I was still a kind of youngster, so he was ringing that many people. We had to allow our number to take a little bit of pressure off Mam, because he was ringing 2 or 3 times a day.
Where was he in prison at that point?
He was in Arbour Hill, I think.
Arbour Hill, yeah.
And he'd built up that much rapport with the governor that he was getting extra phone calls. And we had to allow our numbers go in, because it was take pressure off Mam, because he was absolutely unbelievable. He just wouldn't stop. He was. And would
he express regret for what he had done at that point?
Absolutely not. No, it was always, I was in a relationship with this girl, and this is crap. This is, he was always in complete. He always was in complete denial.
So he's never, even at that point, he never said, "I'm changed my ways."
No, nothing. It was, and even when you were dragged in to see him, he was still. I was fighting with this fella, and I knocked the head off this fella in here, and you're going,
yeah. Still
that kind of
cocky and arrogant,
and and I done nothing wrong. They still have the wrong person, and even down to pleading guilty on the 2 of them in 2016. It was because I was only robbing their handbag.
Yeah.
Or it was, as the guard said to me, it was only because of to get a lighter sentence.
Yeah.
Now I believe anybody that pleads guilty just to get a lighter sentence, that guilty, they shouldn't get the remission for it, or they any credit for it at all. For if once that judge is made aware, well, he's only pleading guilty because he thinks he's going to get a lighter sentence, the judge shouldn't be handing down any lighter sentence.
No,
here,
especially if it comes at a very late point, because he went to the UK in the middle of being charged, wasn't it? And then
he went to Germany first.
Yeah,
he was sent to Germany by the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
And they sent him over there. And I don't know why, I've said it a few times, why they ever thought sending them to Germany was a good idea. Why didn't you? They've hostels everywhere. In English-speaking countries, they could have sent them anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for some reason, he just... they sent him there.
Yeah.
Then there was a lot of talk of him coming, he's going to come home and stuff like that. So I was asked, would I go over and just help him?
Yeah.
And I'm there going, well, I don't particularly want to.
Yeah.
But... Right, okay. And again, it's pushing these feelings down and going...
And what year was this now?
This would have been in around the 2016, 2017, just before he... so it would have been just not long. So I think he was questioned on this, and then he disappeared fairly quick after. And again, now looking at it, we now realise why he was so quick to
get out of
the country, you know what I mean? But look, there was a lot of threats on my mother's home at the time. Because he wouldn't stay around. I think he's covered it a lot. He wouldn't stay around away from Bonogue. He wouldn't stay away from Clondalkin. He even went to the Blessings of the Grave. He just wouldn't stay out of the area
because he was because of his notoriety. he was being pictured all the time, wasn't he? And here he is on the streets and all. But like, and at some when that's some of those notorious guys, they really, you know, they'll flee it. But he seemed to almost revel in it a bit.
He seemed to get more. He seemed to enjoy the popularity. Is that probably the right way?
There's
not popularity, but you know what I mean.
But enjoyed the notoriety.
Yeah, he enjoyed it, like, and enjoyed being. I think he enjoyed the attention.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. No matter how bad it was, he was. You know, look at me. I'm look how bad I am. Type of thing.
It's a really narcissistic trait where at least those people are talking about me, even if they're saying I'm one of the most evil men in the country. But
and it was bizarre. Yeah. And there was a lot of threats on our home, so I had to. I said, okay, I'll go over. And the only reason I went over was to get him into find where the English speaking centres were, try and get him set up, and then get out of Dodge.
But you must be feeling conflicted now at this stage, are you? Like, because you're getting to that point where you're hitting rock bottom, are you? In terms of the drinking and the conflict around this.
Very
this
bad,
must be all like a bubbling inside you, is it? Where you're
and believe it or not, I was one of the activists that took Apollo House, which is not too far from us here.
Yeah. Which was it was a centre where it was an abandoned building.
And we wanted to bridge the gap.
Yeah.
Because the government said there was 200 beds, but there was 240 people sleeping roof, and we said, well, why don't we bridge the gap?
Yeah, this.
And I remember one of the girls coming up saying to me, and she goes, "Oh, we're after getting people ringing us saying, do you know who he is? And you know, and he's such and such's brother." And they're going, and
yeah.
What do you want us to do about this?
Yeah,
but isn't he the same? And they're going, no. Go and talk to him.
Yeah.
Go and have a chat with Thomas and see. And you'll see how different he is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that was what I got all my life.
Yeah.
Oh, you're his brother.
Yeah.
Oh, you're Philip's brother. That kind of look down.
Yeah.
But in fairness though, there's a lot of places we all kind of at some stage worked in the pub, our local pub, you know, and they never batted an eyelid. They took me on as Tom, and they didn't care about who was my brothers. You know, and there was a manager there, Brendan, at the time, and he just kind of gave me, and he kind of he seen, as he always said to me, he said, "I've seen something in you. Your work ethic was just better than most," and it just kind of.
Well, look, I mean, absolutely, the sins of is it in the Bible? The sins of a father shouldn't be visited on the son.
You know, you're not your brother's keeper, as my mother used to say, and you know, it was always difficult though, you know.
Yeah.
And these things being brought up, and you're kind of going, you're kind of getting to the stage where you're sick of explaining, and then it's getting to the stage where, because we do look quite similar.
Yeah.
Some pubs wouldn't serve you because they're going to mistake you for him.
Yeah.
And I can't risk that. And as much as you get annoyed, you can understand their reasoning and their safety for their staff, obviously, you know.
So all of this is happening, Tom, very, you know, confusing things, presumably, in that you're trying to look after your family and then you're having to look after a man that on some level you're aware abused you, and it's your drinking is presumably getting totally out of control.
Yeah.
So it's a real toxic mix there you're in, isn't it? How does it all sort of come to a head for you? Like,
I think kind of it was in around the end of March, start of April, where
2018, is it?
No, 2017. So I went. It wasn't long when we finished in Apollo, and then we kind of closing the bits and pieces down, and I kind of went very bad on the drink.
Yeah.
Because you were out there hearing some horrific stories in Apollo as well, and some stuff kind of resonated with me and brought up a few things that I spent my whole life pushing away and kind of. And I got to the stage one night where I just couldn't cope anymore, and the drinking was just out of control. I didn't realise I was that gone. My head wasn't even where I was staying in a Dublin Simon property at the time, and it was the roommate. He knocked in to see was I, you know. Obviously, he was an older gentleman, and he realised what I was after doing, and he hugged me like I was his child.
Yeah,
I'll never forget it. He hugged me and kept telling me it was okay. Well, he was on the phone to the staff and on the phone to get me an ambulance. And I was brought to the Mater Hospital and went in through the triage and stuff like that. And I seen something on the table, and I went to try and do more damage to myself. I was in hospital for a long time though. You know, they admitted me. I think if this country wants to solve mental health issues, all the minister has to do is go and spend a day following the psychiatric team in the Mater Hospital.
Yeah.
And what they do roll it out in every hospital in Ireland.
Really, they were great with you, were they?
They're unbelievable.
Yeah.
The mental health in that hospital is by far the best I've ever come across. And they brought me in, and I remember going up to the Aloysius ward. They were giving me stuff to sleep because I was exhausted.
Yeah.
I was mentally and emotionally exhausted at this stage. And I had friends come in. Glenn Hansard come in to me a few times, and I had friends from Apollo come in, and they all come in and but before I'd go out to see them, and my mum was in, like my mum walked in the snow or the rain, you name it, my mum would come in and see me, like it was unreal.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go out to any of them until I had the bandages on my arms.
Yeah.
And one nurse said to me, I'll never forget it, and she said, I'm not giving you any more bandages.
Yeah.
She says, because if you don't get used to them, you're not going to get out of this ward.
Yeah. Yeah.
But within the meantime, within all that, I did have Philip messaging me on Facebook. You'd block him on one Facebook, he'd pop up in another. You'd block him on one, he'd pop up in another. And this was between the flashbacks of what had gone on in my head as a child to him constantly wanting to talk and and for me it was like, I think someone had told him I was in there, and he was hoping to push me.
Or do you think he was worried that you would disclose the abuse at that stage?
Now looking at it, I think he was hoping that one, either he could do enough to push me over the edge completely, or two, he knew I was going to say something at this stage. I was getting to the stage where
there was no point.
There was something had to give.
And that is the way it works, isn't it? The pressure just gets so much, and then you have this break.
And the break for me came. There was. I'll never forget. I was talking to Mum, but that morning I'll never forget. I woke up and I said to myself, if I can get off this ward today, I'm done.
Yeah,
it's over. I've had enough. I can't cope with the messages. It was getting to the stage where I was leaving my phone in to pretend it was on charge just to get away from the constant messages and calls of him. And I said, if I can get out of this ward today, because I was hoping I was getting to the stage where they might let you out, but they weren't. No, we're not going to let you out today. You're a little bit agitated.
Yeah.
So we're going to hold you. And I said, right, grand. So I was in a room on my own. And at that stage I said, right, well, if I can't go out to do it, I'm going to do it in here. And I'd had enough.
Yeah.
And it was horrific to think that what he did to me and where I was at that stage, that I was heading to to kind of finishing it all,
Yeah.
And thankfully, I did go through it. I did attempt it in the ward, and I ended up in ICU for it. But thankfully, the quick reactions of the nurses in Aloysius ward, they revived me and saved me life and got me resuscitated and up to ICU then,
So that's 9 years ago, 8 years ago now at this stage.
8.5 years ago, yeah.
So, like, you're, terrible, but you're a testament to be able to come on here 8 years later in the position you're in, Tom. It is incredible.
I'm Nicola Tallant, and you're watching Crime World, a podcast about criminals, drugs, and the underworld in Ireland and across the globe. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you can be the first to watch all our latest episodes. You can also listen wherever you get your podcasts.